The year is 1348. The air in my small surgery hangs thick with the scent of dried herbs, vinegar, and something metallic I know all too well. My name is Thomas, and I am a physician. Each dawn, I rise not to the crowing of the cock, but to the sound of a desperate knock upon my door. The sun has barely kissed the horizon, yet already the day's suffering has begun. My first patient is a young boy, his leg swollen and red from a fall in the fields. His mother watches with fearful eyes as I examine the wound. It is inflamed hot to the touch. The humors are out of balance. A clear excess of hot and moist blood. I must act. From my pouch, I select a clean lancet. "Hold him steady," I tell his mother. My voice calm, though my heart is not. Bloodletting is a delicate art. I make a small, precise incision near the wound. The dark, thick blood that seeps out is a good sign. We are releasing the corruption. I then apply a poultice of comfrey and yarrow, bound tightly with clean linen. I murmur a quiet prayer as I work. God's will guides my hand. But he also gave us the plants of the earth for healing. My tools are simple, but they are my lifeline. Polished steel scalpels for lancing boils, saws for amputations, a last and terrible resort, and my treasured bronze mortar and pestle. With it, I grind willow bark for fevers, poppy for pain, and henbane for sleep. My shelves are lined with jars of these remedies, each a small promise against the vastness of human suffering. I learned my craft not just from the ancient texts of Galen and Hipp, but from the women in the villages, whose knowledge of herbs is as old as the hills themselves. They call it superstition. I call it wisdom. Lunch is a hurried affair, a piece of hard bread and cheese, washed down with watered wine. There is no time for rest. A messenger arrives, breathless. "The Black Death," he gasps. "It has reached the miller's cottage." A cold dread washes over me. The pestilence. We have heard whispers of its relentless march across the continent, a dark shadow consuming everything in its path. Now, it is here. I don my protective gear, a long leather coat, gloves, and my beak-like mask stuffed with aromatic herbs, juniper, ambergris, and mint. I pray it is enough to ward off the miasma, the corrupted air that carries the sickness. At the cottage, the scene is one of despair. The miller lies on his cot, his body racked with fever, the telltale buboes swelling black and angry in his groin and armpits. His family huddles in a corner, their faces masks of terror. What can I do against such a force? I can lance the buboes, a painful and often futile act. I can burn sweet-smelling woods to purify the air. I can prescribe theriac, that complex concoction of dozens of ingredients, a desperate gamble against a foe we do not understand. Some say the plague is a punishment from God, a divine wrath for our sins. Others whispered of poisoned wells, or an alignment of the planets. I look at the miller, his breath coming in ragged gasps, and I see not sin, but suffering. My duty is not to question God's plan, but to ease the path of those who walk it. I do what I can, offer what comfort my meager skills allow, and leave them to their fate and their faith. Walking back through the darkening streets, the smell of wood smoke and fear is everywhere. People avert their eyes, crossing the street to avoid me, as if I am the very embodiment of the sickness I fight. They see the physician and see only death. Sometimes I feel they are right. For every life I save with a neatly set bone or a fever-breaking draught, I lose a dozen to infections, to Childebert, to the relentless march of the pestilence. Back in my surgery, I light a candle. The flickering flame dances across the pages of my books. I read of the four humors: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. We believe they govern our health, our moods, our very being. A fever is an excess of blood, melancholy an excess of black bile. Our medicine is a struggle for balance, a constant effort to restore harmony within the body's landscape. It is a philosophy, a way of seeing the world. Yet, as I sit here, surrounded by my books and potions, I cannot help but feel the limits of our knowledge. There are mysteries within the human body that our philosophies cannot yet grasp. I often treat injuries from brawls or accidents. Last week, a stonemason fell from the cathedral scaffolding. His arm was shattered. Setting the bone was a gruesome task, requiring 2 strong men to pull the limb straight while I manipulated the splintered fragments back into place. The man's screams echoed in my ears for days. But today, he is alive. He will not build again, but he will see his children grow. These are the small victories that keep the darkness at bay. Surgery is a brutal business. Without a way to numb the pain beyond a draught of poppy or a strong gulp of wine, my patients must endure agonies I can barely imagine. I have to be swift. My hand steady despite the screams, my heart walled off. I sawed off a knight's leg once. The wound from a tourney lance turned gangrenous. The stench of rot, the rasp of the saw on bone. These are things a man does not forget. He lived. For a time, the memory is a ghost that sits with me in the quiet hours. As night deepens, I reflect on my place in this world. I am caught between the old ways and the new. I study the stars for astrological portents that might affect my patient's health, as my teachers instruct. Yet, I also believe in what I can see and touch: the pus from a wound, the color of a man's urine in a glass flask, the way a certain herb can soothe a cough. I am a man of science, what little science we possess. But I am also a man of faith. I pray for my patients, for guidance, for the strength to face another day. In this age of uncertainty, faith is as vital a tool as any lancet in my bag. The candle sputters, its light growing dim. My work is never truly done. The sick will always be with us. The challenges are immense, our understanding so fragile. But with every sunrise, I will rise too. I will wash my hands, say my prayers, and open my door to the suffering of the world. Because to be a physician, in this time or any other, is to hold a flickering candle against an encroaching darkness. It is to offer a sliver of hope where there is none. It is a sacred, and often heartbreaking, calling, thank you for walking a day in my shoes. The path is difficult, but it is the one I have chosen. Remember to be well, and to cherish your health. It is the greatest wealth one can possess.